We would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations as the traditional owners of the land on which the university stands. We respectfully recognise elders past and present.
Welcome to Newsline, live from the RMIT studios. Hello and welcome to Newsline. I'm Thomas Williamson.
And I'm Ronnie Fletcher.
We'll be touching on the latest news about US tariffs, Australia's defence, Israel ceasefire, and later in the program we'll have cover updates across sport and weather. But first, today's news.
A United States appeals court has temporarily reinstated Donald Trump's international tariffs. The court claimed the tariffs exceeded the president's authority under the Emergency Powers Act. US Press Secretary Catherine Leavitt says the initial blocking was a breach of judicial power.
Australia is at risk of being left underprepared for current threats and future challenges due to the slow take-up of new capabilities, according to an independent defence review. The Prime Minister has hit back at the report, saying that it was predictable and written by people who have worked for the former Liberal governments.
Israel has agreed to a US-brokered ceasefire proposal in Gaza. White House spokesperson Catherine Leavitt says Israel has signed the 60-day ceasefire. While the terms of the ceasefire have not officially been made public, an Egyptian official has anonymously confirmed some details. These include a 60-day pause in fighting, hundreds more trucks of food and humanitarian aid entering Gaza, and 10 living Israeli hostages released in exchange for over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. Hamas officials say they are studying the proposal closely before providing a response. This comes after Anthony Albanese denounced Israel's food and aid blockade earlier this week.
I can confirm that Special Envoy Witkoff and the President submitted a ceasefire proposal to Hamas that Israel backed and supported.
An anonymous group of Adelaide activists will keep fighting to stop Elon Musk's Tesla from setting up a battery factory in the suburbs. About 95% of the nearly 1,000 submissions were opposed to build a Tesla showroom and battery recycling and repurposing factory, with many expressing anti-Tesla and anti-Elon Musk sentiment. The world's richest man announced he will leave his role in the Department of Government Efficiency and instead pivot back to his businesses, including Tesla, amid slumping sales. Meanwhile, in Adelaide, the Marion City Council overrode community objections to approve the factory project, saying that the project will bring 100 jobs and millions of dollars in the community. The project now awaits a state approval.
Former WA Labor Senator Pat Dodson has called for Environment Minister Murray Watt to meet with Aboriginal people from the Murujuga National Park Centre. This comes as Mr Watt approved a 45-year extension on Woodside's Northwest Shelf project, sparking outrage from traditional custodian and environmental conservation groups. The Eastern Busway is being promoted as a cheaper, more flexible solution to ease congestion in Melbourne's fast-growing eastern suburbs. But local officials and transport experts say it's not enough and are questioning whether buses can really meet the region's long-term needs. Christy Nicolo has more on the story.
Right. But in Melbourne's east, many still ask, why buses, not trains?
We've been advocating for public transport improvements for a really long time. We recognise that the bus improvements can be made in faster time and at less disruption. The Eastern Freeway Busway, it doesn't address all of our transport needs.
Manningham is the only municipality in metropolitan Melbourne without train or tram, leaving buses as the primary form of public transport. Calls for a train line date back to the 1970s, with early plans even reserving space in the Eastern Freeway median. Yet despite decades of proposals, the train line was never built.
We do have park and rides, which are very beneficial, but there's a huge amount of the population that don't want to drive or maybe don't drive. That's why we're looking at that bus route down Doncaster Road as well.
And while 8 in 10 Melburnians live within 400 metres of a bus stop, more than a third have never caught a bus. The busway, the state argues, is a faster, more flexible fix.
The financial benefits of setting up bus infrastructure is a lot cheaper than anything you can do with rail. and can also be done a lot quicker by having this separate transitway in the middle. That's a signature of what bus rapid transit is, and the whole idea is to try and bypass a lot of traffic.
The upgrade aims to cut travel times by up to 11 minutes, but Infrastructure Victoria warns that 84% of bus routes could slow by 2036. Local officials say better east-west connections, like a rapid bus link from Mitcham Station and Doncaster Road, could solve this issue.
Having more direct bus routes to those popular places and to stations will then take pressure off that freeway bus lane as well.
As the project takes shape, Melbourne faces an ongoing question. Is the busway enough to meet the city's growing transport needs? Christy Nicola, RMIT Newsline.
And now we're crossing live to our reporter Matilda, who is currently at the reopening of the Potter Museum of Art with a new expedition featuring Indigenous Australian art. Matilda, what's the story?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the Potter Museum of Art in Parkville, where there's an exciting redevelopment. The art museum was closed in 2024 and has been reopened today. The redevelopment was done by Woodmarsh Architects and features a brand new entrance. Now, this entrance is almost like a mirror and welcomes patrons in as they get to experience the amazing art inside. Now, this facelift was made possible by donations from the Ian Potter Foundation and philanthropist Lady Primrose Potter. The reopening features a new exhibition called 65,000 Years, a short history of Australian art, which features more than 400 artworks by Indigenous artists.
Now, Matilda, the title of this exhibition is interesting. What does this mean?
So the title dives into the lack of recognition Indigenous Australian art has got from the colonial Australian art world, as Indigenous art has been around for tens of thousands of years, telling stories and documenting life, with many of these practices still being used today. Yet Indigenous art has not been recognised up until the past century, meaning that this exhibition is one of the first of its kind. The atmosphere in here is absolutely amazing. Some of the beautiful pieces behind me are spread across multiple floors and rooms. It truly is a great display. Co-curator of the exhibition, Marcia Langton, marks this as an important part of Australian history. She said in an interview with the ABC that they have achieved a grand cultural moment in Australian history and that she is overwhelmed by the result. You can really feel it in the space here. There's so much celebration and pride in what they have created here at the Potter Museum of Art. That being said, this exhibition doesn't shy away from the dark history for Indigenous Australians and marks as an act of progression as we work towards recognising our past and stepping forward together, which comes at a perfect time because it is Reconciliation Week, where there have been many events across Victoria. This is a week where we learn about our shared histories and celebrate both the 1967 referendum and the 1992 Mabo decision.
What does this expedition highlight?
So this exhibition is highlighting the importance of Indigenous art, and within this art is a compelling look at Indigenous history here in Australia. It also highlights the importance of First Nations education, as there is currently a push for improved education within Victorian schools. A truth-telling inquiry has been raised with the Yoorrook Justice Commission. This is to look into what schools are currently teaching for Indigenous education and how it can be better improved to teach history. The inquiry will be presented in a report by the Yoorrook Justice Commission, where they'll present about 100 recommendations. These recommendations should help improve broken systems and work towards a future where we're all informed of our collective history. And that's the big picture regarding this exhibition.
Thank you, Matilda.
To the King's Domain now, where Camp Sovereignty continues to fight for custodianship of the rural ground in Melbourne CBD. The camp approaches 500 days resistance. Sylvia Erison reports.
If British history in Melbourne has a heart, surely it beats here in King's Domain. But the rule of a far-off monarch the park celebrates is also strongly challenged here. Camp Sovereignty is approaching 500 days of occupation and resilience.
It's also known to them as the King's Domain. If we're going to get our land back, we might as well go for make the point here. I think this is the place to do it, because it's It's offensive, having a British Crown monarch ruling over our land. We never consented to the occupation.
Before British occupation, this area was an important political and ceremonial place for the Kulin Confederacy. In 1837, areas of King's Domain became part of Reverend George Langhorne's reserve.
Has a very that sinister history. It was sort of one of the early attempts to remove children through the school. They wanted Warrung people to leave their children there to be educated, be colonised. So it is sort of almost the precursor of what came later.
In 1985, another powerful event in Australian history happened here. The remains of 38 Indigenous Australians repatriated from museums and universities across the world were laid to rest here. In 2006, an earlier iteration of Camp Sovereignty made international news by protesting the Commonwealth Games. Duran Bungelini upholds the site's history as a place of protest, but also one of community and connection.
Every Sunday we have a ceremony. So anyone's welcome to come. It's about healing. This is our fire space, and fire for us is a tended fire like this symbolises occupation and law. We want more of these. Place for healing, peacemaking and ceremony.
We're going to a break now. We'll have more after.
Welcome back to another story now. 7 drowning deaths in Australia's waters over Easter weekend have sparked national conversation around water safety. Our reporter, Jarrah Davis, has more details.
Beth Thomas is taking swimming lessons for the first time. Giselle is from the UK and says that Australia's active swimming culture encouraged her to learn to swim as an adult. She has been using social media to document and inspire others with her swimming journey.
Sundays recently and everyone was just in the water swimming and I felt kind of left out because I can't swim.
However, being able to swim is not a skill that every Australian has. 1 in 4 Australian adults have low swim ability or cannot swim at all, according to research conducted by Royal Lifesaving Australia in 2022. Jacqueline Wong, owner and operator of the swim project in Melbourne, is dedicated to teaching adults how to swim. She says increasing rates in drownings across Australia are showing gaps in swimming education.
Not all Australians can actually swim competently and confidently. And the way we measure that confidence or competence, I think that's really coming to light now.
New data from Royal Lifesaving Australia indicates an increase in drowning deaths across the nation. The latest national report from RLSA showed more than 300 drowning deaths between July 2023 and June 2024, which is a 16% increase compared to the 10-year average. CEO of Royal Lifesaving Australia says that there are many factors contributing to this data, but one stands out as particularly concerning.
The most important and one that needs to be addressed long term, and that is that simply our swimming skills as a nation are falling and falling very, very rapidly. And we're not necessarily the nation of swimmers we think we are.
As a sunny island nation, staying water ready is crucial. Even for those who can swim, keeping swimming skills fresh over the winter helps to jump right in when summer returns. I'm Laura Jarvis, reporting for RMIT Newsline.
Joining us is Laura Jarvis, here to tell us more about her story with Beatrice Tan.
Thanks for joining us today, Laura.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Talk to us about how Australians are coping in our waterways.
So, according to data from Royal Lifesaving Australia, over the past 20 years, during the Easter period, there have been 118 drowning deaths, which averages at around 6 drowning deaths per year. However, this year we saw this horrific toll rise to 7 drowning deaths. And since the pandemic, drowning deaths have continued to increase across the nation. And in the past summer alone, we have seen 104 lives lost to drowning. And this is unfortunately a 5% increase on the previous year.
So Laura, are we seeing this national increase in drowning deaths?
Yeah, so there are many factors to this issue, one being that Australia's population is growing and thus becoming more diverse, and we're seeing that there are more migrants and international visitors who may not be as comfortable and aware of the dangers of swimming in some of these waterways. Another factor is that Australians are becoming more adventurous with where they go swimming. They may be swimming at beaches that are unpatrolled, and this is increasing the dangers. And the third, and I would say the most concerning, is that there is a rather large national decline in our swimming skills, and this is, quite a big issue.
So is there enough information and education available for Australians around water safety?
Yeah, so many of the drownings that occurred over the Easter period were from people who were sitting or standing near cliff edges or on rock beds, and they were unfortunately swept off by some rather large waves. So while this isn't directly linked to a loss of swimming ability, it is showing us that we need to be addressing our loss of swimming safety awareness and the safety measures that we're partaking in when we're around more dangerous waterways.
In your story, you interviewed Jacqueline Wong, who runs adult swimming lessons. Can you tell us more about these lessons and why these are important?
Yeah, so I had the amazing opportunity to talk to Jacqueline. She's very passionate and dedicated in teaching her adults how to swim. She spoke about the importance of ensuring a safe, comfortable environment for her students. It's something that she's observed in her own students, that more negative experiences around water at a younger age have led to maybe some apprehension around the water, and not that comfortability that people who have more positive experiences at a younger age have. So she really emphasised how crucial it is to make sure that if you're a child or an adult learning how to swim, that we're really ensuring that these environments are safe and comfortable and the people learning to swim feel secure in those environments.
Thanks once again for your time today, Laura.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Back to you guys.
We're heading to a break now. We'll be back with the roundup.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Roundup. I'm Sophie Chiarulli.
And I'm Cass Muir. In the Roundup, we're going to be looking at some of the biggest stories across arts, tech, pop culture and in the papers. But first, let's take a look at today's headlines across the globe.
China Daily is reporting on the launch of its first asteroid sampling mission. As part of the Tianwen-2 mission, a probe will collect samples from a near-Earth asteroid named 2016 H03. The asteroid was first spotted in April 2016 by a telescope in Hawaii. The samples will be used for scientific research. The paper also reports on tourism, visas and green technology advancements.
From Saudi Arabia, Arab News is closely following the ongoing crisis in Gaza. At least 47 people have been injured after an air delivery was raided. According to the publication, Israeli forces opened fire amongst the chaos as crowds rushed to gather supplies. In other news, the paper also reports on the return of imported fruits to Syrian markets, following recent changes in the country's leadership who have reopened. International trade to the public.
The Philippine Daily Inquirer's front page is reporting on the appointment of a new chief of the Philippine National Police. Major General Nicolas Torre III will step into the role. Torre was responsible for the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte and is the first Police Academy graduate to hold this title. He will serve in the role for just over a year until he reaches the mandatory retirement age of 56.
To Ireland now, Dublin faces citywide water shortages within 5 years. The Irish Daily Mail reports that due to critical infrastructure issues, the city is looking to run out of water supply. The Chief Executive of Utility for Irish Water, Neil Gleeson, has written to Housing Minister James Brown seeking an urgent meeting over the matter.
The front page of the Courier Times spotlights the nation's upcoming presidential election. With the election being officially held on the 3rd of June, early polling booths opened yesterday across over 3,000 sites. The publication lists democracy and economic stability as prominent concerns for voters. Other stories featured on the front page centre on the economy, particularly US tariffs and rate cuts.
The Times of Malta highlights Stefan Zorano as a party's recent success in securing substantial funding from the European Union. As Malta's Minister for Lands and the implementation of the electoral program, he has secured over €2 billion for the next 5 years, doubling what was obtained from the previous period. The paper also reports on Malta's Minister for National Heritage, Arts and Local Government, Owen Bonnici, whose involvement in land acquisitions have raised questions.
And that's it for today's front page world news. To tech news now, starting off with an international story. Researchers at the University of Texas have developed temporary face tattoos that can monitor mental strain. We're joined now by reporter Amy Brooke to unpack this further.
Amy, these e-tattoos could revolutionise workplace safety by tracking fatigue in high-pressure jobs. Can you explain to us how this all works?
Yeah, so these e-tattoos are temporary face tattoos that monitor brain waves through electrodes on the face and also track eye movement. And in doing so, they're able to track an individual's mental strain, fatigue, and any lapses in focus. Trials of the technology have proven successful, both at the live recognition of this mental fatigue, but also at predicting when such fatigue may set in. It will be super useful for high pressure roles like truck drivers and traffic controllers, where breaks in focus could endanger individuals or the wider community.
So while this initial trial has proven successful, further testing does need to take place before these e-tattoos can enter the market. Can you give us an idea of what exactly that testing looks like and what we're looking out for?
Yeah, so that's correct. So trials have only taken place so far in controlled environments and not in any real workplace scenarios. One of the roadblocks found so far in the tests that have been done is that things like sweat and skin texture or unevenness can affect the efficiency of the product and impact the electrode's ability to monitor these signals. Hopefully though, if all goes well, these e-tattoos will be available for both large-scale commercial and individual purchase soon. The battery pack, sensor and electrode kits are expected to retail for around $220. As it stands and as things are going, everything has been super promising, so keep an eye out for e-tattoos as the next fashion craze.
Thanks, Amy. On to our next story now. Interactive robot cats have been touring libraries in the Blue Mountains. The life-size pets have been visiting local communities and putting on shows for visitors.
These cats are being promoted as being great for therapeutic purposes. What sort of reception have they seen from the public?
So these robot cats, or meta cats as they're called, have proved extremely popular so far with library goers, particularly children who are enjoying lining up and patting and interacting with the new furry friends. They were brought in as a potential solution for loneliness in more rural communities in the Blue Mountains, but they can also be great for therapy, anxiety, and with dementia patients in aged care. They can meow, purr, respond to voice commands, and have neck and back sensors which allow them to respond to human touch in real time. They're great for young children in aged care homes, more so than a live animal might be, as they're more predictable and not susceptible to the same stress and anxiety that an actual cat might. There's no scooping litter or buying cat food. All you need is a USB-C charging cable.
It's interesting to see that humans can feel such a connection to what's really just a robot. And these metacats aren't the only emerging therapy solution. What else is in this intersection of technology and companionship?
Well as robot cats and dogs, we've also got things like robotic newborns that have been employed for use in aged care for dementia patients to simulate some relationships and experiences with them. As well as this, AI chatbots and messaging services are an emerging tool that's been really useful for combating social isolation in vulnerable communities. Obviously, there are concerns regarding this, as with all AI, and there are fears that relying too much on certain technologies could end up having the opposite effect and further distancing isolated people from the human connection that we're trying to provide them with. However, these technologies can definitely be super useful. We'll just have to make sure that we use them in tandem with that authentic and genuine human relationship.
Well, I might just go buy myself a Metacat. Thanks for joining us, Amy. Now a look at the arts. New Zealand singer-songwriter Lorde has just released the first song of her upcoming album Virgin. The pop star had her first #1 hit with Royals in 2013.
Arts reporter Alexandra Mulcaster joins us now. Why has there been so much hype in the lead up to this album?
So this is a very heavily anticipated album. It is Lorde's first solo release in 4 years, so 2021. So yeah, there's a lot of hype around it. Her single from the album came out yesterday. And the album is set to come out in about a month's time, so the 27th of June. But for now, here is a snippet from her music video.
Sandra, we know that Lorde has been in the spotlight over the past year as a result of her collaboration with Charli XCX. Charli is a huge name in the music scene right now. Her 2024 album Brat was a hit. It was so popular, many Gen Zers coined the term Brat Summer after its release. Can you tell us a bit more about this collaboration?
Yeah, absolutely. So the collaboration was essential in getting Lorde back in the spotlight after a little bit of a hiatus. She was in a bit of a cocoon for a couple of years. But yeah, with the release of Brat last year, she had a collaboration which was Girl So Confusing with Charli XCX, which was released on the Brat Remix album, which was released about 2 months after the original album was, which was just as successful as the original album as well. The song kind of opens up about how the music industry, I should say, puts women into their place as, and they pit women against each other. And this was kind of Lorde and Charli breaking out of this and saying, it's confusing to be a girl, but this is how we feel. She also made an appearance in Sydney at one of her fan events. So it was just in a club, they were playing Lorde's music and she rocked up. The fans had a great reaction to that, obviously building more anticipation about this release of the album. But she also joined Charli's set at Coachella, singing their collaborated song as well. So it's created a lot of hype and it's very exciting.
Sure is. Also in arts, there's a new exhibition opening Melbourne next week featuring the art of the prominent Australian artist David Bromley. The exhibition is a collaboration with Sesame Street and is set to tour Australia after its South Yarra debut. So Alexandra, what can we expect from this exhibition?
Well, yeah, so the exhibition is titled In Your Neighbourhood. It will feature approximately 50 original works from Bromley. He focuses a lot on the colour of Sesame Street and the vibrance and the joy that comes from it as well. Yeah, and the exhibition is based on children's play. He said before in interviews that he has learnt everything that he needed from his career in kindergarten. So quite a bold statement, but one that people think really resound with.
So why Sesame Street? The Warner Bros have made the decision not to renew their contract with the show after 55 seasons. Does this correlate with the exhibition at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of fans were very worried that the show would be cancelled or cut off. Thankfully, Netflix has taken on the role of producing the show, so we'll be back for a 56th season, which is very exciting for a lot of viewers and a lot of parents who will be able to show the show to the younger generation and to their children as well. But yeah, it started in 1969 and the exhibition is aimed at bringing generations together for a little bit of a nostalgic tour through their childhood.
Thanks, Alexandra. Now a look at the pop culture headlines today. Beloved Australian comedy actress Magda Szubanski has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. The Kath and Kim star announced the sad news yesterday via Instagram. Pop culture reporter Julia Cecilia joins us now. What's been the response, Julia?
So there has been an outpouring of support across Australia from fans after the video was released last night. The 7-time Logie winner and Australian icon, I have to say so myself, has spent the better part of 2 decades at the forefront of Australia's media scene. So she's most well known for her part as Sharon Strzelecki in Kath and Kim, who she played for 5 years and which launched her to international stardom. So after publishing the news to Instagram, social media platforms have been flooded with tributes and best wishes from fans and stars alike. The project's Carrie Bickmore and former Australian of the Year Grace Tame were amongst the well-wishers.
So we know that this is a particularly aggressive form of cancer. Julia, how much can you actually say about the specific diagnosis?
Yeah, so she has said that it's rare and dangerous. It's a form of blood cancer known as mantle cell lymphoma, and unfortunately it has been diagnosed as a stage 4 cancer, which means it has spread to the rest of her body, which isn't great news. However, she's in good spirits. She's undergoing treatment and seeing the bright side of her diagnosis.
New treatments keep coming down the pipeline all the time, so, you know, I just got to... What are you going to do?
So in her video, Magda expresses admiration and gratitude for Melbourne's medical facilities, calling them the world's best. She encourages listeners and viewers to listen to their bodies and take any notice of early cancer detection, emphasising the importance of regular checkups, staying informed about warning signs and advocating for your own health.
Such an important message. Also in pop culture, last week, Google released its latest AI video model, and we're already seeing its impact on YouTube and influencer content. What can you tell us about this development?
Yes, with the release of Google's Gemini VO3, YouTube is now going to be even more filled to the brim with AI content. The model generates videos at 720p resolution, which is arguably the most advanced consumer video generator to date. People are able to create incredibly believable content, which can be indistinguishable from a real authentic video. You really need to be laser focused in to notice any discrepancies in the videos. So it's really good at pumping out popular YouTube style content like advice talks and street interviews. And now we're seeing YouTube gaming content with generated Fortnite and Minecraft Let's Play videos. And also a rise of fake AI YouTube personalities and influencers are becoming popular. So with Gemini VO3 costing only $250 a month, it seems like a worthwhile investment since these videos can generate profit by farming views and ad engagement.
With such realistic AI content swarming the internet, what are the broader potential implications of this?
As tech is so vastly and viciously developing, there's not really enough time for legislation to catch up from governments and also from companies like social media platforms. So it's really hard to combat potential harms. It's really got the potential to fool a large number of people, especially vulnerable groups like children and people who have got mental health issues. So it really raises widespread concerns for misinformation. And while AI does have its benefits, it'll become harder to find real-life content creators and support them, and kind of risks minimising the quality of the content and creativity of the media. So it seems that dead internet theory, which pretty much suggests that much of the activity online is already created by AI, it's becoming more true every day. So this area is really something to watch for in the coming years.
Thanks, Julia. Now for our final segment, let's take a look at today's political satire. I'm with reporter Bill Toomer, who's here to discuss a few of the cartoons featured recently in national and international news. First, from The Age and the Financial Review, a cartoon on the recent Liberal and Nationals breakup and subsequent reunion. Bill, what's going on in this image?
Well, Cass, the first image is by Kathy Wilcott, and it depicts, it satirises the recent tensions between the Liberal and the Nationals coalition. Following a brief split last week over a number of policies, but most importantly, climate change, Wilcott depicts the Liberal leader and the National leader as two divorced parents, with coal symbolically portraying their child, highlighting the parents' conflicting views on energy policy. The cartoon criticises the Liberal Party's wavering commitment to net zero. The cartoon suggests lasting damage, implying the relationship may not return to its previous strength despite the parties getting back together. The Nationals leader, David Littleproud, is shown holding a nuclear power plant, reflecting the Nationals' push for nuclear energy.
Now let's take a look at another cartoon from the Washington Post exploring the changing dynamics between the US and Russia. Bill, could you tell us a bit more about this?
Sure. In this cartoon, Jim Magouis depicts a Donald Trump who is not willing to stand up to Putin. Recently, Trump has spoken to social media to express that Putin has gone absolutely crazy and is playing with fire after Russia intensified its attacks on the UK. Trump was asked in the Oval Office to, if he was going to end the war. Trump told reporters that he can't tell them that, but he'll know in 2 weeks.
To the UK, Reform leader Nigel Farage is committed to scrapping the two-child cat policy. Nicola Jennings's Guardian cartoon criticises this reform. Bill, can you tell us a little bit more about this cartoon?
Yep. During a speech at London, Reform leader Nigel Farage has said he wanted to make it easier for people to make babies in the United Kingdom. He confirmed that the party would scrap the two-child benefit limit and give more benefit to more than two-party parents. Responding to the speech, Labour Party Chair Ali Reeves accused Farage of fantasy promises, saying that's exactly how Liz Truss ruined the economy.
Thanks for that, Bill. That's all from the Roundup.
After the break, we'll hear from Rani and Thomas again.
I'm Cass Muir.
And I'm Sophie Chiaduli.
Welcome back to Newsline. I'm Thomas Williamson.
And I'm Ronnie Fletcher.
Motorists on Glenferrie Road, Hawthorn, already struggle to find a car park, and it's only going to get tougher. Up to 80 car spots look to be scrapped from the shopping precinct, as Isaac Haber has more.
It's busy, vibrant, and can be accessed through different modes of transport. Glenferrie Road, Hawthorn. Business owners opening up their shops and putting on a brave face as concerns grow due to the Boroondara City Council's place plan.
Losing 40 to 80 car spots on Glenferrie Road, that is gold to a business community and to our precinct.
1.3 kilometres set to be replaced with improved bike lanes on both sides of Glenferrie Road.
We're not anti-bikes. Cyclists have a role in our community, so we're not saying that there should not be any infrastructure allocated to cyclists. What we're concerned with is that Glenferrie Road is already constricted.
Many needing to find a park off the road, with a further 40 car spots scrapped for tram stops, seeing 6 reduced to 4, complying with disability laws. A new look for Glenferrie, some wanting it as soon as possible.
There's zero accommodation for cycling, and it's the most dangerous road in Boroondara for riding a bike.
An avid cyclist, Mr. Campbell, with current safety concerns, strongly believing change is crucial and beneficial for the entire community.
Business will benefit through increased visitation via more sustainable transport modes.
A spokesperson from the Boroondara City Council says the place plan will improve pedestrian connectivity. With the improvement of bike lanes, it'll see a lot more cyclists on Glenferrie Road, and they'll feel a lot safer than what they currently do.
I'm always very vigilant. You get squeezed by trams or cars, and then cars parked on the left, somebody opens a car door and bang, you're gone.
Traders like Sam wanting better action and engagement from council on plans like this, and there's no sugarcoating it.
Relook at the plans, study what is happening today. Don't go off projections from 4 to 5 years ago. They need to engage with the community and the traders.
Isaac Haber, RMIT Newsline.
Now to the world of sport with Liam Grant.
Tom, and to the AFL. Last night, the Brisbane Lions held off an Essendon comeback to win by 18 points. Essendon trailed by 32 points at quarter time, but off the back of immense performances from Jai Caldwell and Nate Caddy.
Kept it alive with a little banana. Caddy over the shoulder. He's kicked a goal. Yes, we're in lock game. Yes, we are.
The new Baby Bombers found themselves all square with the reigning premiers in the last quarter, before the Lions flexed their muscles right in the wave of career best game from Hugh McCluggage, who led all comers with 41 disposals. Chris Fagan was proud of the Lions' performance, pleased with the ability to respond to the Bombers' challenge. Tonight, Collingwood hosts Hawthorn at the MCG, with the Pies looking to improve their recent record against the Hawks, with the Hawks holding a 15-2 record over the Magpies since 2012. The Pies supported with 5 key ins, with captain Darcy Moore returning, as well as Lockie Schultz from his serious concussion against Fremantle.
Bobby, Lockie Schultz. Yeah, all good to go, and we're excited for that. And you know, we stand here with a great performance on the weekend through guys coming and doing the job, and then the excitement is that you wake up in the morning with some really important magnets.
With a win tonight, Collingwood can go clear of Brisbane as the ladder leaders. Across the world to the NBA now, and the New York Knicks season lives another day as they defended home court against Indiana Pacers in Game 5. Clutch Player of the Year Jalen Brunson leading the Knicks with a 30-point performance. Game 6 heads to Indiana on Sunday. The Matildas take on Argentina tonight at Marvel Stadium in a friendly. However, the lead-up has been marred with interim Matildas coach Tom Sermanni criticising the A-League women's professionalism.
So, we really need to have at A-League level a real rethink. I told you how long. You got me on the soapbox. The league's been good.
The coach provided an update on star Sam Kerr's injury, hopeful that her return is beckoning. Sermanni will coach the Matildas for the 150th time across 3 stints in tonight's clash, with Central Coast's Emily Husband and Western United's Kat Smith among his assistants. To cricket now, and England have beaten West Indies in the first ODI of the series in Birmingham, with the Lions posting a mammoth 8 for 400, with Jacob Bethel posting 82 or 53 balls.
Pulled man out there. Oh, what a grab. What a brilliant catch. Bryden Carr.
The West Indies bowled out for a meek 162, not without some brilliant fielding from none other than fast bowler Bryden Carr.
edged, and what a catch! What a catch that is! Whoa. That ball was flying, and he was flying too, Jitesh Sharma, and he's plucked it out of thin air. Third catch this innings, and Punjab.
Australia's Josh Hazlewood returned figures of 3 for 21 to lead Royal Challengers Bengaluru to the Indian Premier League final with an 8-wicket win over Punjab Kings. Bengaluru bowled Punjab out for 101 and surpassed the total with 10 overs to spare in the first qualifier. Punjab will have another shot at making the final on June 3rd when they face the winner of the Eliminator final. To the French Open now, and Alex de Minaur lost to Alexander Bublik overnight in a 5-set thriller, with the Demon expressing his concern that the tennis season was too long and that it was impacting the health of the players on tour. Two-time Roland Garros finalist Casper Ruud also shared the sentiment after his own injury-hampered defeat to Nuno Borges on Wednesday, as he compared the ATP's ranking system to a rat race, with players feeling as if they have to compete through injury. Alexei Popyrin is now the only Australian men's only player and will play tonight against Nuno Borges. Dario Katsukina defeated Lola Janjan in straight sets last night and will play Spaniard 10th seed Paulo Badosa in the third round.
In the third round.
That's all for sport today. Back to you, Tom Rani.
Now to a short break. On the other side, it's the weather.
To the weather now, where Ruby Riley has the forecast ahead. What are we expecting, Ruby?
So Melbourne today will have a maximum temperature of 16 and a minimum temperature of 11. It's going to be a cloudy day with a 40% chance of rain. Make sure to bundle up if you're heading out tonight, and definitely chuck on a scarf if you're heading to the footy. Now looking ahead at the rest of Australia, tomorrow in Adelaide it will be mostly sunny with the highest temperature being 19 and the lowest being 6 with a 10% chance of rain. Make sure to pack your umbrellas tomorrow, Brisbane, as there is a 90% chance of rain. The maximum temperature will be 21 degrees and the minimum will be 17. Canberra is going to be chilly tomorrow with a highest temperature of 16 and a lowest of 1, with a 10% chance of rain and cloudy skies. Darwin will be making the rest of the states jealous tomorrow with a maximum temperature of 31 and a minimum temperature of 22. There will be mostly sunny skies and a 0 chance of rain. Moving down to Hobart, it'll be partly cloudy tomorrow with a high temperature of 15 and a low of 6 with a 20% chance of rain. Now looking west to Perth, which will have a maximum temperature of 22 and a minimum of 14 with an 80% chance of rain. Sydney will be partly cloudy with a 20% chance of rain, a highest temperature of 20 and a lowest temperature of 12. Looking back at Melbourne, winter is certainly coming this week, with tomorrow being partly cloudy and having a maximum temperature of 16 and a minimum temperature of 9 with a 20% chance of rain. It'll likely be a sunny Sunday with a high temperature of 17 and a bottom temperature of 5 with mostly sunny skies and only a 5% chance of rain. Reflecting all of our moods, Monday will be another cloudy day with a highest temperature of 18 and a lowest of 9 with a 20% chance of rain. Tuesday will have a maximum temperature of 15 with an 80% chance of rain and a lowest temperature of 11. Wednesday will have a shower or two with a 60% chance of rain, a high temperature of 14 and a low temperature of 7. And Thursday will have a maximum temperature of 15 and a minimum of 4 and expect a shower or two. As previously mentioned by Ethan, the new strain of COVID has arrived just in time for these colder months. This new strain is estimated to make up 40% of Victorian COVID cases. So with this new information, please make an appointment with your doctor to discuss the best option for you to protect yourself this winter. And although, at least for me, it feels like it's been a long winter already, winter officially starts this weekend. So crack out the old Uggs if you haven't already, look after yourself and your loved ones this season, and stay warm. Back to Thomas and Rani in the studio.
Thank you, Ruby. We're going to circle back now to Isaac's story on the Glenferrie parking. Tom, do you reckon it's harder to get a park now than 5 years ago?
Well, I definitely, talk on the experience that I've had over the past 3 years, and I think that parking has definitely been, an issue not only in Glenferrie, but I think all over Melbourne. So I think that, if councils and state governments aren't interested in putting new parking around, I think you'll see a lot of people turning to public transport, which already has a pretty big strain, or people will have to turn to cycling.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think as well the cost of public transport might be kind of pushing people away from it into wanting to drive.
Yeah, I think so. But it'll be an interesting time, and it was a good report by Isaac.
Fantastic. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rani Fletcher.
And I'm Thomas Williamson. Thank you, and have a good night, Melbourne.